On behalf of the ministry, I wish to welcome you all to this national dialogue on compulsory land acquisition in Uganda to discuss the current proposals by government to reform laws relating to land acquisition. Majorly, the amendments to the Land Acquisition Act, Cap 228, and to bring it into conformity with Article 26 of the Constitution of Uganda. According to government, the proposed amendments are expected to facilitate expeditious acquisition of land by government or local government, to avoid delaying government or local government infrastructure and investment projects, while at the same time allowing for persons dissatisfied with the compensation amounts awarded to resolve the disputes in court in the time to be determined by the laws put in place. These proposals will present a mechanism for government to access land for development purposes without depriving the property owners the right to prompt, fair, and adequate compensation prior to taking possession or acquisition of the property. I am aware that some provisions of the Land Acquisition Act 1965 were declared by the Supreme Court unconstitutional under an inconsistent with Article 26(2) of the Constitution, in as far as they do not provide for prompt payment of fair and adequate compensation prior to taking possession or acquisition of any property by the state. This created a gap in the land acquisition process, and hence the need to review the whole Act to address these gaps. In the interim, government put in place a framework to guide land acquisition in the oil and gas sector activities based on the current laws and best international practices to ensure that the process is transparent and at the same time allows no delays in the development of necessary infrastructure. In addition, government is in advanced stages of developing the land acquisition, resettlement, and rehabilitation policy, and is expected that this framework will address issues relating to land acquisition, resettlement, and rehabilitation of project-affected persons. The consultative process is ongoing and is expected to be complete by the end of this year. As you are also aware, His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda has traversed the whole country sensitizing the public on the need to reform land acquisition laws in a bid to fast-track implementation of government projects, as any delay has negative impacts on government in the form of delayed service delivery, increased cost of investment, as well as interest rates paid on borrowed funds to undertake these infrastructure projects. Therefore, today's dialogue is timely since it is meant to discuss issues relating to land acquisition and making recommendations to improve on both the laws and policies. Many of you have not had a chance to look at the proposals of the Land Acquisition Bill 2018, which government proposes. The first Parliamentary Council will make a presentation on the provisions of the bill so that you are no longer suspicious of the government's intent. Some of you have also mixed up the two bills, the Constitution Amendment Bill of 2017, which was withdrawn from Parliament by government, and now the draft Land Acquisition Bill 2019 before Parliament, which we are consulting on. There is need to understand the difference between the two bills so that you can make substantive submissions which will inform the Land Acquisition Bill 2019. Further to this, the Land Acquisition Law is going to be reinforced by the Valuation Law, which is also in the draft form as we speak. With this coming national dialogue on compulsory land acquisition, this endeavor is timely in regards to the consultations that the government is making, hence making it a win-win situation for both government and the people. Looking at the categories of participants in this room, I am happy to note that it is very rich. It's a very rich selection of stakeholders, as it includes policymakers, development partners, land acquisition experts from government and the private sector, ministries, departments, and agencies who are involved in land acquisition processes, CSOs working on land, cultural leaders, landowners, tenants on land, representatives of vulnerable groups across the country, and the press. I therefore expect you to come up with solid proposals and recommendations to government which will benefit all Ugandans. Once again, I wish to thank the organizers of the dialogue, mainly the German Embassy, His Excellency the German Ambassador, LandNet Uganda, and the desk officers from my ministry for organizing this dialogue. Thank you very much. With those few remarks, I wish you fruitful deliberations, and I officially declare the national dialogue open.
A special thank you to our chief guest representing the Minister, Mr. Richard Oputi, Director of Land Management at the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development.